for you, what's the role of the coach with in terms of confidence, giving confidence to a player, or their role in helping a player to have confidence? Because this is like one of the most common questions ever. And then I was contrasting that watching him on Thursday with Dan asking me that question for his 10-year-old. Like he's on the ice, like dude playing 3-on-3, he's like a totally different player. He does stuff he would never do in a game. So like, what's the role of the coach for you from like a confidence building perspective? And you can go by level or whatever if that's helpful.
No, but okay. So if you play 3-on-3, let's say like the cross ice 3-on-3 or any version of it, it's not the same as a 5-on-5 real hockey game, full ice with structure, right? It's not the same. So you can probably stick handle more, and that might be what Dan is saying about he looks a lot more confident, is that he probably handles the puck more and tries things, and it's just in an environment where you can do that, right? So it wouldn't say that Jax is a better player 3-on-3 or not. It's just the environment. And then you're not worried about making mistakes, because what are the rules? What is the structure of a cross ice 3-on-3? It's not real. It's not a real game, so you can just go and play. So that kind of answers the question in itself. If you want, it's kind of like if you just go play freely, then you do what you feel like you want to do. And that might be handle the puck, and no one's yelling at you for handling the puck or shooting more or blocking shots, whatever it is. You're just around it more, right? So that would be that. Whereas you get into a 5-on-5 situation where you're coached, and maybe it could just be the structure itself. It doesn't lend, or too much information, especially for young guys, could maybe kind of hamstring them. You know what I mean? And then that's just like my initial what that would be. But confidence is a interesting thing. There's more than just like one or two things that plays into confidence, especially when you go to higher levels, right? So you could go to a high level, like it's like what's really interesting to watch is you take a kid that just came to the Guelph Storm, Katzen, and he looks like he looks the way he plays like he's like a duck on water. And I could be totally wrong, but he plays well, and he just stepped into an environment that here I am, I'm going to dominate, or I'm going to be really good. And he just plays his game, and it's like nothing seems to fizz him. Where you see other guys play, and it's like, okay, I got to have a big game, and little things hit them. So
there's like a personal mindset element to it.
He's just maybe just a confident person that I'm good. I'm gonna be good, and I deserve to be here, and I'm gonna be great. Whereas, and that could be different, right? Like if you look at like the way I raised my son is like you teach him to be confident, but you also teach him to have humbleness, or you teach him to have respect and different things like that. And maybe that is not a good thing, because you're teaching your kids to be maybe there is a hierarchy. Maybe you're accidentally putting limits and ceilings on what they could achieve at the beginning, or you plant things in their head, right? As a parent, like you can do that. So you can have them overthink, right? If you lay out scenarios for them, you could overthink, and as soon as you start overthinking, a lot of the times, then you become that's where your confidence, maybe, I don't want to say confidence get lost, but you just overthink. But there's things like when you get to junior, when you like I mean, it's not really rocket science, but again, people could tell you, oh, it's a really big step, it's this, it's that, and then you start thinking about it. Could be the coach intimidates you the first day one because of the structure, and you see him snap or be very demanding. You're like, okay, I don't want to get in shit. I need respect for people. It could be the players, like being a 15, 16, 17-year-old going to play against 20-year-olds. Maybe you're just a little nervous and you don't want to make mistakes. Could be a guy on your team that said, hey, don't do, like, whatever, move it, dump it, whatever it is the direction is, and you start questioning yourself, right? Like, so there's a whole bunch of things that can trigger it, and then all it takes is one thing to make you start squeezing your stick or overthinking. And when you overthink, you can't be a good hockey player.
Okay, so multiple threads. First thing on the mindset, I actually vividly remember your point about guys that seem to not care, and how that actually is kind of better sometimes. I remember thinking that too, because I was like an analyzer guy. Like I would go home and I would think about every detail and whatever, to the point of overthinking. Like that was something I was more prone to. Charlie, how do you find in the game? Are you an overthink? Do you analyze stuff, or do you kind of just like whatever and go with the flow? A little of both. Because I don't know, how were you when you played? Did you, like,
No, it
ever
was like
really
3,000 years ago. But how was I an analyzer?
like, did you think about it past, like, surface level? Like, I just went and played, like, and that
Played,
was
but
it?
I had my own issues. Like,
But yeah, but
yeah, I just played.
yeah, because
I
I remember.
I played, and then but you have to remember in the 80s of the OHL in the 80s, it wasn't structured.
True. This is true.
This is what
Yeah.
coaching was back then. Work harder, be tougher.
Yeah.
No, I'm being
Thanks for the
honest.
help, coach.
Be yeah, be work harder, be tougher. That's all it was. And then with the odd thing, it was totally different. So I can't say it the same way he can, because now it's the structure of it is so different.
But I'm not I guess I'm not saying it's good to not think about anything or not analyze it or whatever, like, because that stuff can be helpful, but there's a line somewhere because some guys never think about anything and they're just really good and they can go out there and they can kind of recreate that environment where there's no rules in a 3-on-3 situation and they play with that feel in a 5-on-5 real game, which can be super helpful because then you just start playing now, right? You're actually just playing and trying stuff um and whatever. So my next question would be with that, like on the environment piece, you're saying like the difference between a 3-on-3 game and a actual game. How much of a as a let's say from the coach perspective again, because obviously like from the player perspective, you would want that feel where you just have freedom to play without any negative consequences coming necessarily. But from the coaching perspective, do you think it's important to should you try to create that environment for your guys where it's like they can feel freedom? Like where's the line on that? Because like
I think your best coaches are going to tell you that you can see that when someone is not overthinking and is free, they play better.
Mhm.
Right? You just play the game.
But
But
how much of that is on the coach? So like I'll give
oh,
you
I think there's a huge percentage that's on the coach, and a huge percentage, because like there's there's a there's a way a coach is going to communicate you. Even it's so subtle too. It could be you walk in the dressing room, and it could be the way they say hi to you that you know that they're dicks. They're yeah. It's like, yeah, how you doing? And they maybe it's the jab, it's the whatever, and you just know that this is there is no freedom. Right? It could be the negativity all the time. Like you've played with that. Like just negative, 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 negative. And we got that negativity coming down all the time. And I don't want to get confused with some people saying like anytime someone's coaching that's negative, because it's not. Coaching is coaching, but the negativity can drain you. Right. So then all you ever think about is mistakes. Right. So you can't play free when you got someone just like, and I've seen it. I've seen it. We've seen a coach where it was so structured that you would see like a D coming up the ice, and like legit, there's a play there. Like there's zero pressure. There's zero pressure. That could be a cross seam pass with, and minimum you would get out of that is a 2-on-1. But they would never do it because this is the way we play. It's straight up the ice. It's chip it in, and the forecheck is this, and like there was no veering from that, or else I'm going to snap. And you could just see that in the players. You see how good players kind of just not be limited because the structure is so much.